So let me introduce myself. So my name is Cece, and you are
My name is Cyprys.
Cyprys. Okay. Everyone calls you Sippy. So I was
Yes.
talking to one tabloid earlier, and he was like, "Is it Cyprus or is it Cyprus? I don't know how to say his name." I
Yeah,
thought it was
people call
Cyprus.
me Sippy. It's just a really long-standing nickname that a friend of mine gave to me, and it just sort of uh, everyone just sort of rolled with it.
Yeah, nicknames are like that sometimes. Sometimes you
Mhm.
just do it for fun, and then it sticks.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Although the first rule of nicknames is that you can't give yourself a nickname. It just doesn't work that way.
Yes. Yeah, no.
I remember in oh gosh, it was like middle school, it was a long time ago. It was like 5th grade or something, and this one new kid came into school. He's like, "Hey, my name's Mason, but all my friends call me Mace." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm so cool. Everyone calls me Mace." You know, that never happened. Literally, no one ever called him that ever. Oh man,
Nice try, buddy.
yeah, nice try. Yeah, good luck with that. Okay, well, getting into it. So you have been running. Well, I guess you've been in the community. I don't know if you're still active for a long time.
Indeed, I've been there pretty much since its inception.
Yeah, I saw your name all the way back on the SDA forums in 2013.
Yeah, it's a while back now. Gosh.
Yeah, in internet time, it's forever. But I mean, I guess that was only 6 years ago. But still, it's a while back.
Time flies, though.
Time flies. So, what sort of drew you into Ratchet and Clank speedrunning to begin with?
One of my long-standing friends now, the Rixer, has introduced me to it. Way
Okay.
back in 2013, he pointed me to the speedrun. He said he was interested in learning the any percent off of the segmented run that was on the website at the time by RJ Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And he pretty much asked me if I would like to learn the speed game with him so that we can run together, have a bit of competition, make it a bit more spicier.
Mm-hmm.
And I agreed. It looked like a very fun speedrun, so I decided to learn it. At the time, I was still speedrunning my first game, Spyro 2, but I was getting really burnt out on that because I've already been doing it for 2 years, so a new speed game definitely looked very enticing.
Okay. All right. So, I guess you first started. When did you first start doing runs? I only see that you have a world record in January 2014, but I'm assuming you ran at least a little bit before then.
Yeah, so I started doing any percent speedruns off of that segmented in 2013 along with the Rixer. But I have found the speedrun to be quite frustrating at the time. I didn't like how difficult it was. So shortly after trying 80%, I kind of spun off and did my own thing. I created my own category, that being all gold bolts and skill points.
Okay. Okay. All right. I see that you have the all gold bolts in 2014 record there. But you said and skill points. That's like not a regular category, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the only one that did runs of that.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I've heard that any percent is it's pretty tough. Considering that you have to farm all the bolts as you're going. That can be kind of difficult, I imagine. Especially without all the tech to skip all the gadgets and things.
Oh yeah, back in the day it was very brutal. You try and acquire enough bolts for the run.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why I switched to all gold bolts and skill points. You have much more of the game to play through, much more opportunity to collect those bolts for those much needed weapons.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But eventually you would go back to New Game Plus. Any particular reason you went there? at all, or was it just sort of just kind of making the rounds with different categories, or?
Yeah, so I've already done any percent, and I've done all gold bolts and skill points. I was pretty happy with my time. And New Game Plus was starting to get a bit more traction at the time, so I decided to hop on the bandwagon myself, give it a go.
Okay. So did you ever watch any of Tice Man?
I did watch Tice Man, yeah. That's one
What
of
can you
the
tell me about
most.
him?
He is one of the most iconic figures in this history. His run was considered legendary at the time. We were all blown away by it.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the Strat archive, and the name Ticeman, the 3846. The notes all just say Craigasm. The only note there.
That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, I've talked to several other runners, and a lot of them say that the 3846 was like godlike. It was just miles above and beyond what everyone else was doing.
That's exactly right. He just went all out with the strats, did all the strats that everyone else was too afraid to do at the time, I suppose.
Mm. So,
He was definitely in a league of his own.
Yeah, but you would eventually beat him with like a 3830, and then you would even bring it down to a 3639. What kind of changed that let you beat him? Because if his run was legendary, then how were you able to beat it? Is your run legendary by comparison, or like?
Oh, not at all. I was nowhere near his skill level.
Right.
See, Ticeman was kind of done after that legendary speedrun. But the community did not stay stagnant along with him. We all kept grinding at the game, finding new strategies, and eventually that's what led me to get the better time. Just those new strategies.
Okay. Anything in particular you can think of?
I think infinite jumps were the big thing.
Yeah, I see that.
Led me to the crown.
Mm-hmm. I think Nuka has as one of the first people to use the infinite jumps with the thruster, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
I was actually
go ahead.
I was there when infinite jumps were discovered.
Tell me about it.
I was see the theory behind them was conceived of by Slaughter. I'm sure you've talked to him prior to this interview. Yeah, he's the one that came up with the idea because on one of the planets, Aridia, he noticed that he could sometimes get a secondary jump above while hovering up above the mud in the level. And one day we just got together, me, him, and one of the older runners, Clippy. We all got in a stream together and we decided to try and crack the code on this. And the funny thing is, me and Clippy actually uncovered the secret to getting those infinite jumps at the same time, at the same spot, independently.
Okay.
I was able to pull them off, and I started freaking out in Clippy's stream, like, "Oh my god! If you do this, you're gonna get the infinite jumps. It works! Oh my god! This has so much potential." And then, like 5 seconds later, I see him almost at the exact same spot, doing the exact same thing. Back in the day, the Twitch delay between video and chat was close to half a minute, so there's no way he could have seen my message before doing the infinite jumps himself.
I gotcha.
It was a crazy moment.
I imagine. Like literally typing it up, like, "Oh my god, do this," and then he's already doing it. Like, "Oh my god!" And he's like in your chat, "Oh my god, do this." Okay, I gotcha. So then, so that's specifically with when you say infinite jumps. Just elaborate to me because I think of infinite long jumps over mud, that kind of thing. But what are the infinite jumps that you're talking about specifically?
All right, so infinite jumps use the PDA.
Ah, okay. Just make sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Open the PDA, and then like whenever you leave it, you can. How does that work again?
Right, you open up the PDA,
Mm-hmm.
and if you hold the button to look in first person as you're leaving,
Okay.
that will set Ratchet into a neutral standing state as if he is on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
but it happens in the air. So that gives you just a little window of time to be able to get another jump off of that neutral state.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. And then, so I think that was found with like the thruster pack, or because it says infinite jumps with thruster was found in February, and then it says heli pack infinite jumps was found around April. Does that sound right?
I gotta be honest, I'm not too clear on the details. I've tried to go back into my videos, refresh myself on the history, but I'm a little foggy.
Well, that's not really that important. Don't worry about it. Okay. So, so who is Nuka? Right. Like, can you tell me
Nuka,
about him?
yeah, he's a close friend of mine.
Okay.
He what can I say about Nuka? He keeps to himself a lot.
Yeah. I imagine.
But when he has the motivation to grind out those runs, he's like lightning in a bottle. He can come out of nowhere with a really good time.
All right. Was he? I guess he was motivated in 2014 because he ends up sort of lowering the record down by about 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. Ticeman is a very hard man to impress. To my knowledge, Nuka is the only one that was able to impress him
There you go.
with his skill.
Okay. So he was, I guess he was pretty motivated in that time because he moves it from a 36-37 down to a 32-28. And then we started seeing Slaughter take some times in August. So is I guess is there like a little rivalry going on around there, or?
I wouldn't call it a rivalry because we were all friends in the community.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember that period in time when there was a back and forth between Slaughter and Nuka. They were getting the record day after day, stealing it from each other.
I
I had a
gotcha.
tiny bit back and forth with Nuka myself for about a week.
Yeah, I gotcha. It looks like around this time, Prince Vortex and Slaughter are switching to the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the differences between PS3? Are there any game differences, or is it all like just loaded times, or?
There are some difference in the mechanics, but it's mostly load times that are faster. You can also skip cutscenes quicker. some of the mechanical differences that I can point out is you get a slightly more powerful jump if you're playing in high definition. It makes gaining height with infinite jumps much easier. And I know this is about New Game Plus, but there's a specific glitch for any percent. It's obsolete now, but there's a way to kill the final boss a lot quicker with one of the most basic weapons.
Is it the Pyrocitor?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody mentioned it to me. I think it's because it hits every frame or something like that.
Yeah, it does damage every frame.
It's busted.
Tell me about it, brother.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you if anybody explained who the Chillest Boys are to you.
I have been told about the Chillest Boys.
You have been told.
Yeah, I believe if I can explain it to you and you can fill in the gaps for me. There is a group of runners, I guess maybe people who are sort of maybe kind of pulled themselves back away from the rest of the community, but I believe it's Ticeman, Vortex, Slaughter, Ricky, Zem, and you. Probably a few others in there.
All right, there's plenty others in that group, Nuka included.
Okay.
So here's how the Chillest Boys started out. Back in the day when I first started getting into the game, it was just me and Ricky, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really know about any of the other runners. We only knew about RJ Waters. But I've always been the kind of guy to like want to get a bunch of runners together, collaborating on strategies, doing races, competing for the world record, having the information out there available to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to form a community. When I started seeing some people speedrun on Twitch, and I saw some of the people on the SDA forums, I decided to create a little group, invite people into. We used Skype back in the day.
Right.
I decided to invite all the people that I knew into a Skype group, just so we can start, sort of giving the snowball some momentum so it can build up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over time, I found more and more people on YouTube and Twitch, or people have approached me on YouTube or on Twitch, and I've been adding them to the little Skype group. Some people stayed, some people left, but for a long time we only had about like 8 to 10 core members, and those are the people that you have mentioned.
Right.
The community kept growing, but after some bad incidents in the Skype group, we kind of cut ourselves off from everybody else. We were just kind of happy in our own little bunch.
I gotcha.
Now, obviously, the community has changed a lot. We got a Discord that's open to everybody and anybody that wants to join. But the Chillest Boys still remain secluded in their own Discord, but just as friends. A lot of people don't run Ratchet anymore.
I gotcha. Yeah, it sounds kind of what's what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. Every once in a while, it's like, you know what? Maybe we're not really fit to be with the rest of the group, or maybe we'll just. Well, I don't know. I know that with my own group, a lot of my friends and I have all met through speedrunning a game, Pokemon Snap specifically. Mm-hmm. But we don't always hang out with all the Snap guys. We usually kind of hang out with ourselves. So we have our own separate group, which is a lot of Snap runners, but it's not specifically a Snap group. You know what I mean? It's like it's just us. We're just friends. We all hang out.
Yeah. So you've been there, done that. You know what it's like.
Yeah, I know exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
So Okay. All right. Let's see here. I don't know if I have any more questions for you. Sure, I have something around here. Let me see if I notes. So is there anything else going on like with runners otherwise? So around this time, you see Ticeman's already retired, and then you and Nuka and Slaughter and Vortex are here. When did you end up kind of stop running? Like when did you step back away from the game?
That's a good question. It's hard to answer because after that I had some periods where I would run for a bit and stop again. New Game Plus specifically, I think I've only ran for about a year, and then I moved on to something else. I think I moved on to Ratchet and Clank 2 after that. I just got burnt out on the category.
That's fair. Okay. I guess before we call it, I have a couple of things I just want to wrap up on.
Okay.
So I've heard about Nuka's 3028 and how it's like this insane run because it's on PS2 and it would be something like a 26 on PS3. Could you maybe tell me about that run, or do you know anything about that run?
I do, yeah. What can I say about it that hasn't been said already? Like I said, Nuka is just an absolute beast when he wants to be, and he really wanted to be at that time. He didn't have access to PS3, which everyone else has switched to already at the time. But his competitiveness was just so fierce that he wanted to show off his skill level and what the ideal run should look like, even though he doesn't have the fastest version of the game. He still wanted like that level of skill to show through, even though he was still on PS2. So yeah, he just kept grinding away at that game until he pulled out that miraculous run. That was another one of those runs that stood out in the community. Like he was basically the second coming of Ticeman. that was another one of those legendary runs that just blew everyone away. It was once again just on a different skill level to what everyone else was capable of at the time.
All right.
I think he pretty much stopped running after that, or at least taking the game as seriously, which, you know, it's an awesome way to go out.
Yeah. Especially when it's like an iconic run, you know, like when literally the whole community is like, this is, you know, mind blowing. That's a good way to go out. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. There was one other thing I wanted to ask you about, and I don't remember what it was. It probably wasn't that important. I think the Nuka thing was more important.
So you've been asking me a lot about what it's been like back in the day, but do you maybe want to know a little bit about past? Not the past, but like after when I stopped, because I've been always in the community. I always had my eyes on what's been going on.
Right.
So if you want to know anything about past my prime time, you can go ahead and ask still.
Okay. So we'll keep going with that. So when does Ricky come back? Right. So we see that you told me that you and Ricky started even in 2013, right? And then I don't really see Ricky anywhere on here for a while until like 2016.
Yeah. So the thing was, at the beginning, he got really hyped up for the run, but when he actually started to get into it, he lost interest. But I didn't. So he dropped the game for a long time while I kept playing. I think he moved on to Jack and Daxter speedrunning at the time, which
I think so.
he is. Yeah, that's one of the main things that he's known for. But as anybody would, after years of speedrunning that, he got burnt out. So he started looking at other games to speedrun, and we were always in touch, me and him. He saw that this little bit of a community has been formed in the time that he's been absent. So I think that because he saw that the game is still alive, he decided to take another crack at it now that it has matured a lot.
Okay. Yeah, he was telling me that. Go ahead.
I can't tell you exactly when he came back, though. I don't know the dates.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, he was telling me that when he first started, Ratchet and Clank was like so hard to get into, and Jack and Daxter was super easy to get into. But as time has gone on, Jack and Daxter has gotten harder and harder to keep playing. Like the difficulty has ramped up so high that it's like not fun to play anymore. Whereas Ratchet has like not the difficulty, but like the time has come down so much, and like it's actually gotten easier with all the new tricks and things. So he said that it's kind of like a crossing point where Jack was super easy to get into, now it's super hard, and then he says Ratchet was super hard, now it's easier. It's sort of a funny.
80% was brutal at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because there was only an 80% speedrun on SDA. That's all that me and Ricky could find at the time. Really, when we first started, we had not even conceived of going into New Game Plus, because like what advantages would be there really? What you can buy ammo with the PDA, you get a little bit more health, but that's it. The difference wasn't really that great, at least to our knowledge at the time. So 80% was the way to go. And yeah, that run was brutal at the time because Pyrociter glitch didn't exist. You didn't have a lot of bolts to gear yourself up with extra health or any of the powerful weapons. So final boss, you only had 4 health going in and the most basic of weapons to take him down. That fight is not a cakewalk.
Yeah.
For casual
it's the final
players.
boss.
Yeah. I remember even on one of my casual playthroughs, I couldn't beat him even with one of the most expensive weapons. I actually grinded out one part of the game that gives you a lot of bolts for like hours and hours until I could save up for that one really expensive weapon, the Rhino. Only then I could beat him as a child. So yeah, it's that fight is no cakewalk. You really have to know the fight in and out in order to be able to finish the run off. That's why it was so difficult.
Yeah, the really early history is very interesting. Based on what I've read,
I think so.
Yeah, based on what I've read from 2004 to 2007, like there's so many people talking about doing speedruns of it, but nobody ever actually does one. And then finally, Synux comes around. He's like, "Yo, I've done an 80% run, but it doesn't have any video." And then RJ Waters wanted to do a segmented run. But one of the things it's really strange is that SDA had a rule on the website, which was if there is a category that requires you to beat the game first, you cannot post that video to their site until the regular 80% has been done. So people were talking about doing challenge mode runs back in like 2005 or so, but because of the rules, it would have been rejected automatically. So like people just kind of abandoned that idea pretty quickly. It's funny to think that people might have done that. People might have been doing New Game Plus runs like years earlier if SDA's rules had been different.
Yeah, I think New Game Plus runs really took off after SDA started to become more and more obsolete. People just formed their own communities and shared the strats and the times amongst themselves. SDA, I think it died because it just had too long of a waiting process for run verification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, SDA has always claimed that they're not a leaderboard. You know, they always claim that they're like, we're just a curator of good runs. But I don't know, man. I think since they were literally the authority on speedruns for so long,
Yeah.
I think that they maybe didn't realize how much power they had over the whole community, because like they even had stupid rules like no out of bound glitches, stuff like that. Like there are so many games that like literally didn't thrive because they're like, oh, out of bounds is like cheap, so like we'll ban or we won't allow any out of bounds types of speedruns on our site.
Yeah, I
So,
think no death abuse was another one of their rules.
Yep. Although I think that changed at some point as well, but even still, it's like I don't know. But anyways, okay. So that was so Ricky came back. Ricky ended up really pushing the game down, and then I think he stopped at 2343. Were you around when direct skip was found?
Let me think. No, I can't really say a lot about drug skip.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Can you tell me more about or tell me maybe some of the stuff about Ricky getting the sub 20? Maybe like the feeling leading up to that.
The sub 20.
Yeah, so Ricky got the 1958 New Game Plus in April of 2018.
I don't remember too much of that time either.
Okay, that's fair.
Unfortunately, at that time, I couldn't really be around the community for personal reasons.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, well, I think that's all the stuff that I wanted to really get at. So, all right, man. Hey, I think that'll do it.
One thing I would like to mention to you, if I may,
Okay, go ahead.
about the possible future of the speedrun.
Okay,
If
what's
you're
up?
interested in that,
Okay.
there is a long-standing glitch in the works that might become viable quite soon. That will allow people to skip one of the planets in the
Is it
run.
Poketara?
It is Poketaro, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some talk about this recently.
Yeah, Pokeskip is on the cusp of being found. So maybe in the future, hopefully sooner than later, we won't even have Poketaro in the speedrun.
That'll be something. Because
It's
Poketara is an autoscroller, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's been a long time since we were able to cut out a whole entire planet from the run. You wouldn't even need to go to Gaspar, because the only reason we go to Gaspar is to get the fighter helmet so that we can do Poketaru.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2 planets.
It's 2 planets all at once. So what's stopping y'all from doing Poketara skip? Like what's the last hurdle?
So when you go back to Orkson as Ratchet, there's an info bot that you gotta follow around that keeps running away from you, but it goes to 6 specific locations, one after the other one, once you get close to the info bot.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that you can actually trigger the info bot as Clank and get him to its final location and collect the infobot for a planet further ahead in the game as Clank. Now, there are a few glitches that we can do as Clank, but the movement is heavily limited compared to what Ratchet can do. And unfortunately, we're not yet able to get to the infobot's second location. But we're very, very close. We can get the infobot in all its other locations and collect it and go to the planet that it unlocks, which is Hoven, but the second location that it goes to is still just a tiny bit out of our reach, unfortunately.
Okay. I've been told that it might even be slower though. Is that possible, or does that sound right?
Yeah, that's right. So there is a video on YouTube by Izaki. Have you spoken to him?
I did speak to Zaki, yes.
Yeah, so he has a video on YouTube of him performing all the strats that were known at the time for Pokeskip. He hacks himself into the second infobot location just to get it moving and show off the rest of the strats, but the whole video is like 10 minutes.
Okay.
So it takes a very long time to do that glitch, so it might not even be viable, even if it is found. That's also one of the other problems with Pokeskip currently.
Yeah, I gotcha. But usually how it works is that a lot of times it's like just like finding that is like inspiration enough for people to think about like what else can we do, and then usually new discoveries are found later on that end up helping that kind of thing. So I think even if it's sort of what's the word? Not foolish, but it's sort of like that's not really going to help currently. I think that just the initiative, not the initiative, but just the actual like going out and making it happen, and that's going to be a catalyst to finding a way to make it actually viable. If it's even possible, maybe it's not possible, but if it's possible, I think it'll be found, and I think finding it now is just the first step on the way.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm hoping for. That's what I think will happen. You're always surprised by where your speed game goes.
Ain't that the truth?
You can never really predict the future.
It's strange like that. There's like the unknown unknowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we don't know what we don't know, because at some point someone's going to find a random thing, and then everything's going to change.
Exactly.
We're hoping, at least. All right, man. Well, I think that's it. Unless you got anything else you want me to cover.
I do, actually. I do.
Okay, hit me with it. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Tiny thing. Back in January of 2014, in December of the previous year, I had my little back and forth with Nuka.
Right.
I took the record once, he took the record once, I took the record once. But I just wanted to touch on some of the new strategies that were found during that time.
Okay.
So, unless somebody has told you otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and claim to be the founder of this strat. On Blarg, I found out that you can get into the room for the infobot from out of bounds. This is back when we still got the grind boots.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got a video of that. That was one of the major time saves at the time. That's what made me want to come back and contest the record. Off of, I don't remember who had it at the time. It might have been Nuka.
I'm not sure when it was found, but okay. I feel like I want to say I feel like somebody else was doing it before this, but maybe my memory is. Actually, I can pull up my notes, see if I see anybody doing it. Let's see, notes. And we're looking. Blarg. So they were able to clip into the infobot, but they were using the movie, the in-level movie clipping.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really janky strat.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I see a strat that's just too janky for me to deal with, I always look for alternate ways to do it.
Okay. So you found like a consistent way to do it that wasn't as crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But that's not the thing that I'm talking about. We just go into the ship and clip through the door to get to the infobot, but I'm talking about getting that infobot from out of bounds. Because we would go for the level normally, grab the grind boots, and then do a clip from one of the sections close to the grind boots into the infobot on that ship from out of bounds. Because coincidentally, even though those two areas canonically are supposed to be quite far apart, they're actually quite close to each other on the map. Grind boots and the infobot.
Okay. Interesting. So you have a different strategy to get that to it. You get to that.
Yeah. It just made sense to do that because going back to where you clip from to get an infobot, it's pretty close to the grind boots, which we had to get anyway at that time. This was pre infinite jumps.
Gotcha. Yeah, there was a time when everyone still had to get the grind boots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There was a method to skip the grind boots, but
Wasn't it like you had to like glide along the rails or something like that, or hover? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not gonna claim that I found this because that goes to Ticeman. He's been doing that for years before anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm the one, the first one to make a video of it. See, a lot of his strategies were very elusive to us. We had to sort of reverse engineer his speedrun and learn what we could from it because he was a very elusive character himself. We didn't really know how to contact him. All we had was his run to go off of.
Gotcha.
A lot of the strategies in his video had to be reverse engineered. And because he's such a elusive individual by nature, and he claims that he has found grind boot skip years before anybody else, I'm just willing to take him up on his word because in his New Game Plus speedrun there are a lot of revolutionary strategies. So who knows what he could have found like years before anybody else without ever having recorded it, you know?
Yeah. I gotcha.
But yeah, you hover on that rail for like 5 minutes, being inches away from death all throughout, just to skip the grind boots. That just wasn't worth it because it takes like 2 minutes to go through the level of Blarg. And then the infobot is just like right there, right beside it. So
you don't have to make a detour, so you can get kind of both at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart. Yeah, that does sound a little too much. It's like, yeah, we can skip the grind boots, but it's super incredibly dangerous, and it's not even faster.
Since then, I've actually found a way to skip the grind boots in any percent without having infinite jumps.
Ooh.
Yeah. Would have been nice to find that sooner.
Yeah, I imagine. Is it like you have to do like slope intercept jumps up the mountain and then glide over or something, or?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, I forgot who told me
How-
that, but somebody told
How
me.
you doing? Right.
Okay.
Some people have tried to claim credit for finding that, but it was me. I have posted the first video of it. I got screenshots of me telling people about it with timestamps. That's one of the things that I'm most proud of, really. Finding that trick.
There you go. Okay. Anything else that you think I should cover, or that you think I should know?
Give me a second to think.
Okay, take your time.
No, I think that's it pretty much. If you want some clips of the glitches that I was talking about, I can dig through my YouTube and my Twitch and find some for you.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'll tell you what. So, let's go ahead and let's end the recording here. So.